So what I'm trying to say is that this is the conscious grasping comprehension, right, of this object, this piece, this physical, whatever. Right. So that's the conscious holding of this. Now, if you subtract this from this, you still have that. So what is that? The image is consciousness, right? It's like how the human wraps up the physical experience into an image. But what is the material that creates the image? That's always overlooked for the physical thing that it represents. So the pelt is the primitive material of consciousness. It's very substance, that the very thing that allows you to see, but by virtue of that you see through it. You never recognize that consciousness is playing a part of your seeing, your ability to be aware, to even have awareness, to even have consciousness. So, but because consciousness is always wrapped around physical items, we never think about what consciousness is as its own substance. And that, in short, is the unconscious. That its agents, like, that wrapping has its own agency, its own autonomy, its own intelligence. Like, it's been so used to represent our reality that we would never think that. This is getting too intellectual, but anyways, so the pelt is a tile of the mosaic, which is your awareness, which is your consciousness, and that is your soul kind of exploited and used for the purpose of seeing and being conscious and aware. And so if you recognize the tiles as tiles of consciousness, not as tiles of representation, or then you start like having a relationship with consciousness, your soul. The center of consciousness, the center shifts from the ego to the non-ego, from physical experience to non-physical experience. And so the dream was saying, go to the tiles, go to the pelts, don't go to the story, don't go to the crane dying and me shooting it and Christ and yada yada. Go to the tile, go to the substance, and see if it takes you anywhere, if it gives you an experience, if it gives you, don't impose your meaning on the tiles, on the pelts. They are the fleece. That's the fleece. That's the very raw material of the soul, and that's been overlooked for centuries, right? Like that's lost its centrality, its place, all for the representation of things, So go to the tiles, go to the pelts, go to go to what creates. Go to what creates the image. So it's it's the creation. It is creation. It's this, this creative aspect of the soul. And that journey, like that path, develops the soul. It develops who you are past the ego that only knows itself according to physical things. Like, only measures itself by limited, finite, fixed things. So if you go to the tiles and the makeup of the image, not the makeup of the representation, then you go to a different orientation. You go to a different subjectivity, a different experience of yourself that's not measured by, our linear, finite, causal reality. And so going that way is unique to you and unique to how the deeper you responds to it. Because it's not just going that way, it's like you go and then you have a response, and that response then is the next tile, so to speak, or the next so pelt as tile, tile as pelt. And it's not predetermined, it's not fixed. It's like, because you're putting that foot forward, then you will have a unique response to that foot, which is not measuring, right? Which is not, it's action going into the wilderness, being dismembered, the ego being dismembered so that it can be remembered as a soul, as a, as a divinity, which has its own logic. So then you follow that path. So the tiles, the pile of pelt are the tiles of the soul, the sort of entry point of the soul.